Hi. So right now, I am rereading The Lord of the Rings. I am towards the end of The Two Towers. I feel like the midpoint of a novel series is always my favorite because it tends to be the darkest part. Nowadays, novels seem to be lacking true villains, always some kind of misunderstood antagonist instead of a clear evil. Many people today choose a philosophy, whether they understand it or not, that precludes the very possibility of there being a clear right and wrong. In general, people are capable of horrific things. Even today, there are modern day Satanists who, for the most part, don't even believe in the devil, but follow him nonetheless. Reminds me of the quote from the last battle: "He prayed to gods he did not believe in. He called Tosh. Tosh has come." The hubris of such beliefs are extraordinary, and make me lose hope for the world, that such evil can exist, and plots to destroy innocent hearts. People eventually get to the point where they are like, you know who had a good political and religious set of ideas? Yeah, you know who? The Dark Lord Sauron, that's who. Some people are completely blind, and there are some evils that require incredible sacrifice to overcome after becoming so entrenched. All evil influences, including political forces, start as a harmless whisper, but grow into something more consuming and death-affirming. Governments and political centralized forces can seem harmless or even benevolent at first, but just like in Lord of the Rings, power corrupts. There's a song by Tim Pool of Timcast called Eyes of Advice, and I wanted to read the lyrics and present my interpretation. It's relevant to this discussion. Lyrics: you've opened a door. Do you think you're crazy? If darkness implores, it's asking you maybe to watch for the eyes. They offer advice. One more trip in my mind would suffice for me. For me. Can't you see when you're alone is when we come back. When we come back to sing for you, your head hits the floor, your body is aching, it's asking for more. Or maybe it's hinting. To open your eyes when light starts to shine. One more trip outside should suffice. For me. For me. Can't you see when you're alone is when we come back. When we come back to sing for you. Your body goes cold and your heart is racing. It's starting to know the advice you've been taking has opened your mind at the cost of your life. One more slit of the wrist should suffice. For me, this song, in my opinion, refers to over-reliance on a government or other powerful organization that can turn malevolent and turn against you. It presents itself as an addiction that starts out as something that seems helpful, but once consumers or the public embrace these harmful habits, it becomes impossible to destroy without incredible self-sacrifice. Over time, the political force becomes more and more tempting and harder to break, starting out as simple advice and surveillance, growing in power and heavy-handedness over time that is not questioned. The constant temptation is to follow the lead of the government. The eyes offering advice symbolize the propaganda or the illusion of protection and guidance that the government provides. The line, "You're not alone," is a paradox that people under the control of the government turned malevolent have the power to mobilize against it, but because of groupthink, one person's voice is not enough. Indeed, the lines, "Can't you see when you're alone?" is when we come back. When we come back to sing for you could be interpreted as a warning that the government's influence is strongest when people are isolated and not working together. The lines, "My body is aching and is asking for more," reflects both the hopelessness and dependence on this government and how interlinked they are. The light starts to shine could symbolize the realization of the government's true nature and the need to resist its control. Overall, the song is about the dangers of taking simple advice from government, which now claims to speak for you, but in fact speaks for no one but a dark and insidious force. It seems harmless at first, but costs your life, and one more slip is all it takes to be lost forever, with no path to the prior life when people stood up for themselves. This resonates a sincere and powerful message with the modern U.S. political climate. Trusting government leaders to give advice leads to mass centralization and an irreversible trek into darkness with invasive actions that were unthinkable are now part of day-to-day life. A little bit of loss of freedom leads to losing all of it, and government will never willingly let go of its power. This is seen through the powers government seized after World War II or COVID as examples, and will never find its own incentive to let go of without insane sacrifice and mobilization of freedom-loving people. Again, that is my interpretation, and it might be wrong, but it resonates with me. That's all for now. Good night, listeners.